and good evening. I'm Melisa Idris. Welcome to Consider This. This is the show where we want you to consider and then reconsider what you know of the news of the day. Malaysia is on track to host 450 concerts this year, which is more than quadruple the number just 3 years ago. The government expects live shows to inject nearly 1.7 billion ringgit into the economy in 2025, and the spotlight is now on how Malaysia manages this rapid growth. Do we have the right infrastructure, the right policies to sustain this boom? And the question we want to ask tonight is, how does a country become a truly world-class concert destination? Joining me on the show to explore this further is Iqbal Ameer, who is the founder and CEO of the Livescape Group. Iqbal, thank you so much for being on the show with me today. So these are fantastic headline figures that the government has put out. I'm wondering whether, from your perspective inside the industry, whether you're seeing Malaysia emerge as a genuine regional concert hub. Do you agree with these very optimistic projections about the live entertainment industry?
Well, Malaysia has rebounded strongly from the pandemic, right? So the government figures, there is a jump, right? 104 in 2022, 235 in 2023, and 408 in 2024. And the projected concerts, like what you said earlier, 450 concerts in 2025. So the numbers do reflect growth, right? But sustaining it and making sure that Malaysia improves to meet the requirements and the capacity to hold these kind of shows remains the question, right? Permits and regulations is always a hot topic when it comes to Malaysia. And for me, it's about how can you sustain it, and how can you continue to increase in scale, increase in revenue, increase in jobs created. That's the big question here.
Okay. Well, walk us through. I mean, based on your experience, what are the components? What are the things that we need to think about if you want to create a very vibrant live entertainment destination? I mean, look regionally around the region. Where do you see countries emerging as an attractive concert destination for really kind of big name international acts?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm in Singapore right now. Like I'm in Singapore for the F1, and Singapore has always done a fantastic job in kind of bringing everything together, right? So the Singapore government has done a fantastic job by providing infrastructure support, actually getting the private sector involved. So when you get a lot of support from the private sector, which is sponsorships, basically, and it becomes a much more wholesome environment for event organizers to take that risk, or or even for artists who want to come and perform. You need to have a track record of producing world-class concerts again and again and again in order to get bigger artists to come, right? Who want to come and play in your country. It's not about the money sometimes, it's about the profile, And so that's the thing. So if Malaysia is able to sustain it, able to do really big deals where you get a big festival happening in Malaysia every single year, that shows confidence. That shows the world that, hey, we are a destination that can do this. People, and basically from there, that's actually what we're lacking right now. Right now, it's great that we have many concerts, right? But then the question is, are we still going to be having concerts? That's always the question, right? Oh, is something going to happen in the last minute again, where suddenly it's a big hit to the industry? There's always that what if, right? And if we have that what if, private sector is not going to risk their money. They're not going to risk their money on sponsoring these events, right? Artists are not going to risk a last minute cancellation, right? So we need to rebuild that trust and that confidence, and we need to continue to keep doing this. So that's the part where I really hope we can,
right?
But that's the question in my head.
Iqbal, what do you mean by last minute cancellations? What would possibly cause a last minute cancellation?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So as of late, we haven't had any last minute cancellations, right? Sometimes it has to do with regulatory, where suddenly the authorities pull back a permit because there's something that's not agreeable, or sometimes it could also be the event organizer. Sometimes event organizers don't put in the proper applications through, or don't get proper regulations done. So those are usually the main things on what would come through as a last minute cancellation. It has happened in Malaysia multiple times, and we need to work towards making sure that that doesn't happen again. Like, we should be working together to make the event happen, instead of, oh, you didn't follow this, so I'm pulling it out, or, oh, I don't agree on this, so no event. Nobody gets to have fun, you know.
Okay. Well, I wonder whether you're referring to the implementation of the kill switch. Remember last year when it was implemented for organizers? Of course, you remember, Iqbal. Can I ask you how that's impacted the industry? Has it impacted promoters, organizers, even artists' willingness to come to tour here?
You'd be surprised, but yes. So the thing is, the stage is a place of expression, right? It's for creative expression for an artist, right? And to know that there is this kill switch option, it's something that people would rather just not participate in it, you know. So convincing artists to come and play here then becomes a question of, um, would they even want to? Would they even want to be put under that security? So then suddenly they become scared about anything they might say, right? And again, we're talking about creative outlets here where people get to express themselves, right? So I understand, but the thing is this: I understand why. I understand why the government had resorted to a kill switch option. I understand. Is it the right move? No. We shouldn't be telling artists or Malaysians what you can't do. We should be telling them what you can do, and then work it from there. I think Malaysians are educated enough. I think we're pretty well educated where we know what's right and what's wrong. We don't need the government to come and censor stuff for us anymore.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of my opinion.
Yeah, thank you for being quite candid with that. I think sometimes we forget about the art aspect of it, the creative expression of it. We think of it as a kind of commercial enterprise or a commercial endeavor.
Exactly. I mean, I hope to see a day where political speeches had a kill switch. You know what I mean? Like, but, why isn't there a kill switch for that, right? And we have tons of politicians going out there and saying claims that don't even that are radical, right? Why don't we have a kill switch for that, right?
I think that's a very valid proposal. One of the things that I hadn't considered before that you raised earlier was the role of the private sector. And I had only ever thought of putting together live entertainment productions as a organizer, promoter, and government enterprise. So talk to me a little bit more about the role of the private sector and how the different moving parts. So it really has to be an entire ecosystem working together to pull something big together.
Yeah, it is. Private sector, they play a huge role, right? Because first, for them, why they would want to participate in live entertainment is because you have an audience that is there for a few hours to a few days, right? So they get attention, and then from there, captive audience, right? So when they have a captive audience, they basically want to push the product, the service. Insurance, for example, they have opportunity to come in and basically have these conversions, right? So this beats any form of advertising on the planet, right? So whether you're seeing an ad on Facebook or whether you're seeing a billboard ad, they're there. It's in the moment, and it's a huge opportunity for conversion. I've seen this personally whenever I do shows in Malaysia. Their ROI goes by, it's 1,000%, right? But for them to sign it off, right? Because we're talking big money here. Like, if a private sector were to come in, we're talking 500,000 to 1.5 million ringgit, right? To come in. For that to get signed off, they need assurances. They need assurances that their ROI is going to happen, that this event is going to happen, And unfortunately, nowadays, we can't promise that. Like, we can't promise that, right? And the moment you can't promise that, then the private sector is going, okay, I think we need to reconsider our investments, right? Or where can we put our money that will work for us safely, you
Mm.
know? Yeah, and because of the Malaysian currency, right? Because it's we don't our ringgit's not exactly the strongest when it comes to the US dollar or the euro, which is a majority of the fees that we have to pay with these international artists, right? We need the private sector to come in and help us sort of like cushion those fees. Without the private sector money, it's going to be very difficult for us to turn a profit.
Right. What are the arguments would you say, or what would you say are the benefits of having bringing in more live entertainment in Malaysia? I can hear many people say, well, there are kind of cultural sensitivities as to why we shouldn't be thinking about focusing government attention, national attention to highlighting the live entertainment industry. But beyond the economic multiplier effect, are there benefits to being or wanting to position ourselves as a mega concert hub, for
Yeah.
instance?
So there are tons things that I've seen personally is huge job creation, right? Because Malaysians, like I think earlier when we were talking about Malaysians are smart, Malaysians are very smart and very skillful, and we have this hunger, Malaysians. We have this hunger where we want to do something, right? And people in the live entertainment industry, job creation is a huge thing, right? We have awesome stage managers. We have often AV lighting guys, really good guys, right? And with more shows, you create more jobs. It's a huge job opportunity. So that's one thing that I would probably want to highlight, right? I think the second thing is that it makes Malaysia a much more place you want to live in,
Mm.
right? I come to Malaysia. I mean, the food's really fantastic. We all can agree to that. We have the best food in the world, right? So you got good food, you got good people, and then you've got shows, right? You've got shows that you can go to, right? And in my travels, whenever I go overseas and stuff, it's part of it, right? Earlier this year, I was in Portugal and I went for a music festival with my wife, and that festival had been going on for 30 years. 30 years, right? You've got people, you've got people bringing their kids for it. You've got grandpas and grandmas going for it, right? It becomes a thing, right? The whole town comes alive because of this festival, right? And everybody's celebrating that moment. It's like the F1 in Singapore right now. Like right now, I'm in Singapore. If I walk down the street, it's all about the F1, right? Everything's about the F1. The hawker store Char Kway Teow guy is like, I've got an F1 special, and it's vibrant. It makes you want to live, and that is a feeling that no amount of money, no amount of whatever it is you say can.
Yeah, oh, wonderful. Iqbal, thank you so much for sharing some of your insights with us. I appreciate your time. Iqbal Ameer there from the Livescape group. We're going to take a quick break here and consider this. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to Consider This. I'm Melisa Idris. Let's continue our discussion about the live entertainment industry in Malaysia, which is experiencing a surge. Now, the question is, can we maintain the momentum? And what does it take to become a truly world-class concert destination? Joining me on the show to discuss this further is Para Rajagopal, who is Managing Director of PR Worldwide, which is a live entertainment promoter. He's also an advisor to the Arts Live Festival and Events Association Live. Para, good to have you back on the show with me. So the Communications Ministry has projected that Malaysia is on track to do about 450 concerts. We're bringing in about 1.7 billion ringgit in spillover. This is really quite a staggering number. From your vantage point as an events promoter, I'm just wondering whether these numbers reflect what's actually happening in the industry. Does it reflect the real momentum that we're seeing?
Hi, Melissa. Good to see you again. It's been a while, and thanks for having me. I think that we could be even more than that, doing more than 450 events for the year for next year, because the show count for 2025 is already hitting almost 300 uh, concerts overall, in all scale, not only stadiums and arenas, but also theaters. And we have a smaller venue called ZAP, which brings in a lot of international shows and local shows there. So if you combine all those numbers for a Visit Malaysia Year campaign, it is very close to that projection, or even maybe more. And this is exactly what we've been always championing as a live and as an operator for event companies, that this will be a major contributor for the economy of Malaysia, because tourism needs a new product, and I think live entertainment is the savior for the new product.
Okay, that's interesting that you're thinking about it as a way to promote tourism, live entertainment as a product to promote tourism. And I understand 450 concerts, that's coming from quite a low base, right? If we think about where we were a few years ago post-pandemic, this has been quite an upward trajectory. What do you see as having changed within the industry? Have there been changes that you've observed within the live entertainment industry post-pandemic? And I'm wondering specifically in terms of improvements, what's gotten better?
Actually, pre-pandemic, we were doing like double digits. We can't even go to close to 100 events a day, in a scale of international events, because I think the touring scene was not that active during pre-pandemic, but post-pandemic there is this real surge in demand for fans going back to life, because of that 3 years or 2 years of being in the COVID pandemic situation, where they couldn't travel, they couldn't have holidays, they couldn't come together as to go to events and all that. So I think there was this real revenge concerting situation where people wanted to go back to watch all their favorite stars, and the most, I think the search is because of fans. Is COVID is the inspiration for it, but it's fans wanted to go back and obviously enjoy these live moments, and enjoy the music, and so that the fans are the one who are making the difference.
Okay, so there's clearly demand for this. I like how you said revenge concerting. That's quite interesting. But what about the supply side? For promoters, for organizers, for performers, what would be the biggest challenges in terms of wanting to become that supply, wanting to come to Malaysia and perform? Are there areas Malaysia still needs to improve on if it's serious about becoming a prime concert destination?
Yeah, I think the supply, obviously, there is a few category of artists that usually, brings the big demand of people going for concerts. And I think we know the A-listers are one that usually people are very much excited to go and get them. The shows get sold out immediately, 1 hour, 2 hours. So the demands for A-listers are basically about 8 to 10 artists in the world that are A-listers. So to get them over to Asia, it's quite an effort. And we have been lucky, actually. We had Coldplay, we had Ed Sheeran, we had Bruno Mars, we had Blackpink. And so these tours actually generated real good economic impact to Malaysia the last couple of years. And obviously we can't just rely on the A-listers all the time. So we need to also do the arena shows, where there acts like Baby Monster. The K-pop content is actually really thriving in Malaysia. We did a couple of K-pop shows that really sold very well. We've got Twice coming in October, in a couple of weeks' time. So they are also visiting Malaysia and also selling real well. So I think the other unique position Malaysia is in, that because of our diversity, there is also opportunity for Mando pop, Indian pop, Indonesian pop, and also local events. People are also traveling in to watch our local acts like KRU and Ella and all these, because people coming from Brunei, people coming from Singapore, Indonesia, to watch all their favorite local Malay acts as well. So Malaysia is actually in a quite a unique position compared to Bangkok and Jakarta, and because we kind of have got our own staple kind of diversity in people enjoying music. If you see a couple of weeks back, Diljit Dosanjh, he's a Punjabi superstar. He came to Malaysia and sold out. There was A.R. Rahman, a lot of Tamil shows. So I think the we are just beginning this great golden era of live entertainment in Malaysia, and of course, what we need now is some real efforts, by all party stakeholders to create more sustainable, contribution to the industry. We need more venues which are able to, like specific venues for concerts, where we can really house some world-class events. So this is where the 1.7 billion that is generated from events should be given back to the industry. So these are the areas I think we should, and we could be talking to the government to see how this 1.7 billion can be generated back to the industry, keep the momentum up for the next few years to come, or maybe 10 years to come.
Okay. So do you see the momentum being sustained by by having this kind of the quantity of, say, second level acts as opposed to targeting one or two A-listers a year? I'm just wondering also what the strategy ought to be. If Malaysia wants to position ourselves as a concert hub, as a premier live entertainment destination, is the strategy to be looking at the region? Is the strategy to be attracting the Taylor Swifts of the world? What should the strategy be?
I think, as you know, Malaysia is quite, our strategy is always the diversity. If you want to really go to that A-list, just to play the A-lister game, it takes a lot for A-lister artists to choose a destination, because of the logistics, the ease of doing business, the ease of approvals, and we all know the connectivity to Singapore is a lot more easier for people to fly from any part of the world, because of they've been a hub for everything, not only for entertainment. So I think in that sense, we have to have our own strategy that suits for us with the kind of demographic we have, the kind of policies we have. Our guidelines are a bit more, we need to basically be concerned about what artists can actually perform here. Can Lady Gaga perform here? Or these are the things that we always have to think about. But I think the current strategy is now like diversification, but playing in the levels that we can manage it quite as well as possible.
Right.
By telling you the strength of that is also generating already $1.7 billion, 1.7 billion ringgit already. So if we can change the momentum of maybe having some amount of higher understanding of what to attract A-listers, maybe then some policies can be improved to attract.
Well, but can I ask you, I understand the cultural sensitivities around hosting live events here, concerts. I can think about the policy and the regulations around maybe having Lady Gaga in concert here. But when we think about kind of the guidelines of how to govern attire, conduct and promotion of these acts, I look to other industries, and other industries like cinema and television, they often rely on age ratings rather than outright restrictions. Could something similar like that work for concerts? You're giving audiences an informed choice while giving artists kind of greater creative control.
Exactly, Melisa. This has been what ALIFE has been lobbying for the last 6 years or 7 years, that we should understand how we can give a bit more of adult decision making to anyone that's consuming any content, not only online or or ALIFE, because there is a difference between moral policing and there's a difference between censorship and politics. So we have to navigate through all these whole three items of moral policing and also censorship and also politics are all combined in our market here in Malaysia. So I think the age rating is already working on the cinema content.
Yes.
It's already working in Astro content. And also, there's no age rating at all for Netflix, I guess. I mean, they just tell you what to look out for, so they put it there. So I think that should be the discussions and the way moving forward for concerts. Age rating should be given. Like maybe some comedy content is not suitable for all ages, so because there is going to be some amount of adult content, mature content in it. So we go to say, okay, so and so comedian is 18 and above or something like that, or so and so concert is going to be 18 and above. So that is a solution to basically give more power to the content consumer to consume it. Singapore is already doing it. I think most advanced countries are already giving those kind of age rating to all content, including live and internet content or whatever it is. So I think it's not something that we cannot do it. I think it's about the political will to do it, and making sure that we trust our consumers that they understand this is not for them, or we shouldn't attend this concert or anything. So that's the way forward. I mean, I hope we can use this to basically create some awareness that the government can look into this kind of age content rating for concerts as well.
Well, something for policymakers to consider. Thank you, Para, for sharing some of the insights and highlighting these issues for us tonight. I appreciate your time. Para Rajagopal, Managing Director of PR Worldwide there, wrapping up this episode of Consider This. I'm Melisa Idris, signing off for the evening. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.